Hey guys, it's Emma
and Maggie,
and welcome back to another episode of Love Ya Bye.
Today's episode, we are kind of going to do a part 2 to the relationship episode we did. It was actually one of our first episodes a long time ago. If you go back and listen, I feel like so much has changed since we recorded that episode. So we're going to get into it and we're just going to talk about relationships and kind of give our advice and share things that we like to do in our relationships, like with our I almost said our boyfriends, Emma. My boyfriend and Emma's fiance. And just talk about relationships and have a little conversation. But first off, we're going to start off with a peek in the pit of the day. It's so funny. Mac and I were laying in bed the other day, like ready to go to bed. And he was like, I think it was like the day after we got back from the Cape from your birthday weekend. And he goes, what was your peek in your pit of the trip? Like the whole weekend. And I was like, oh my God, he's learning. And so we went over our peek in our pit of the trip.
Really?
Yeah, it was so funny.
That's so cute.
What is your peek and your pit this week?
My peak was this week. My peak is that my birthday was this past weekend on Saturday. And leading up to my birthday, I was like, okay, like I'm turning 22 this year. Like that's kind of like, obviously my birthday last year was my 21st birthday. When you go from like your 21st birthday to your 22nd birthday, it's kind of like a huge jump in kind of excitement. Like I feel like it goes from being really excited for your 21st to you're just turning 22. There's nothing really great about it. Obviously my 21st birthday, I like did all the stuff when you turn 21 that you normally do. And then coming up to my 22nd, I was kind of like, oh, I don't really know what I want to do. Like, I would just, like, wanted to kind of chill, relax. And I ended up having so much fun. It was probably one of my, if not my favorite birthday. I just feel like this year was a lot different, obviously, because now I'm, like, spent my day with, like, my fiance and you guys. And we really just, like, I don't know, I feel like that was my favorite day ever. Like, we sat by the pool at the resort that we stayed at on the Cape called Wauquasit, and our grandmother showed up, my mom, my mom's sister, my mom's best friend, and her husband and her daughter came, and then my two best friends, and Maggie and Mac and my fiance. Like, we were all just, like, hanging out, and I feel like it was such a special day, so I feel like that was definitely my peak of the last week. I had so much fun, and it was one of my favorite birthdays, and I'm really just like grateful for that time that we all got to spend together with like our mom and our Grammy and like everyone being there, and just everyone was like, I feel like doing things like for me, you know, obviously like it's your birthday, it's your day and stuff, but I don't know, it was like a different vibe. I was so happy. And then my pit would probably have to be what is my pit? I've been getting car sick lately. When I was young, I used to get car sick all the time. And want to know what sucks?
What?
Is that, and I really hope Peyton's not listening to this, because I only get car sick when I'm not driving. I hate driving, though, when I'm in the car with him, because I want him to drive me, you know?
I know, because you just want to sit there and do nothing.
Yes, I want to sit there and do nothing. But when I'm driving, I feel fine. But whether it's the back seat, the passenger seat, I always get car sick. In long distance driving, though. I don't know what it was. I think, for the longest time I was fine. Maybe it was those long drives that we did this past summer that set me over the edge again for my sickness when I drive. Because when we were driving up from Orange County to LA, I got so car sick. And when we were driving from even Laguna to Newport, I got the car sick. And then we drove back from the Cape. I don't know what it was. I just felt super car sick. So that's my only thing, is I've been feeling pretty car sick.
That's the worst feeling,
I can't even go on my phone.
Really?
Yeah, like if I go on my phone, it makes it worse. And I have to look diagonal out the window.
That's so weird. You should try to take like Dramamine. It's like for motion sickness.
I've never taken Dramamine once in my life.
Really?
Yeah, I've never once taken it before.
I used to always take it when I was little because I would get car sick.
Oh, that's so smart.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep some in my car, so next time you're in my car too and you say that you can't sit in the back seat because you'll feel car sick. I'll hand you a Dramamine.
Emma, I've never said that. Who sat in the back seat in the 4-hour car ride to the Cape on 4th of July? Me. And I didn't complain once. I'm not like that. You're the one who complains.
You used to be like that.
I think
Yeah. And driving at night, too.
Okay, because I was blind, Emma. I couldn't see. So I literally couldn't drive at night because I couldn't see the road. But that's so sweet of you to offer me Dramamine for your back seat. Anyway, my peak this week is probably that, oh my God, I have like a few. Well, I think like my peak of the weekend when we went away for your birthday, obviously I loved being able to spend time with everybody. That definitely was a highlight, and I just feel so grateful to have spent the time with family and you and Peyton and Mac, and I had so much fun. But I think my favorite night of the weekend was the first night when Mac and I were there alone before you and Peyton got there. And we went and we had dinner. No, I'm not saying that I didn't like hanging out with you guys. I'm saying like I liked that night because him and I went to the little restaurant at the resort, the one that's like inside, you know, that's all cozy. And we sat at the bar and we were just like talking to the bartender, and he was like this older guy, and we got really yummy food, and we just sat there and like talked just us, which is really nice. Because I feel like when you're in a group with people, like we've been doing so much group stuff this summer that like it's nice to have like one-on-one time with your partner, you know? Mm-hmm. Because I don't know, I'm such like a quality time person, and like quality time in like I like to have like full attention, like have a conversation type thing. You know what I mean? So
I'm the same exact way.
It was really nice to be able to just have dinner together that first night and like spend time together. And my other peak is that I've been reading really good books lately, to the point where like I'll pick one up and then I won't be able to put it down. I'll finish it in like 2 days, which is really good because I feel like it's taken away from the time that I spend like sitting on my phone during the day or at nighttime. Because if there's ever a point in the day where I have like some downtime, instead of sitting there and like going on TikTok or doing random stuff like watching YouTube, I'll just read my book.
Yeah.
And I love it. The book I just finished was called Reminders of Him, and it was so good. I feel like I should start a book club. A bunch of people have been messaging me to start a book club. And even the book I just started last night, my friend Lily already messaged me and she was like, I just read this and I loved it.
A book club, you can't read a book in 2 days. You gotta,
I know.
You gotta wait for others. So like
I know.
You're like, every time you guys have a meeting, you're like, okay, let's read 60 pages this week.
Well, yeah, but I can have a designated book for the book club and still be reading on my own, you know? Or I can just slow down so I can keep up with the club. But anyway, my pit is that I have the worst period cramps in the whole world today. Like, I don't know what it is, because you and I went to yoga this morning and I felt fine and I had so much energy in yoga, and I got up early, no problem, went to class, got home, made food, showered, got ready, stuff like that. And then I don't know what it was, but like the second I sat down at my desk to do all the work that I needed to do before we recorded this podcast, I just got like a wave of the worst cramps I've ever gotten in my whole entire life. And I don't know what it is.
I hate that.
But anyway, so that's my pit. I'm just like kind of dealing with that. So if I have low energy in this episode, just know that I'm in like so much pain, and that's why I feel the way that I do. But it's okay. But anyway, you guys, let's get on into the episode. Okay, where should we begin? I feel like you should start, Emma, because I feel like your life has changed so much.
This is kind of like a part 2 to the last episode we did about relationships, because the last time we did a relationship episode was at the beginning of when we started our podcast. And way back then, Maggie was the one that was in a relationship and I was the single one. And now Maggie's still in a relationship, but I'm just engaged. So I really found my person, I was not expecting it at all. Like, he really came out when I was least expecting it, which I've heard that my whole life, where they're like, you're gonna meet the person when you're least expecting it, you're gonna meet the person when you're least expecting it, and I'm like, what, is he just gonna like poof in front of my eyes? Oh, he poofed in front of my eyes for sure. And I was like, oh my goodness.
I think that that's so true also, because something kind of similar happened to me, and I was in a position where I was in like a long-term relationship. Like my last, I've been in just like long relationships, I feel like, my whole life.
Yeah, so, you and I are different. You were like more of like like you would be in a relationship, you get out of one, you'd get right back into one. So you would just be like always in a relationship, and they would all be like a couple years at a time.
Yeah.
You know? I was always the one who was like, I would be like in relationships, but I wouldn't make it like either fully exclusive, or I was just like, I never wanted to waste my time. I hated wasting my time. So, and then I waited for the right person.
Hey guys, just taking a quick break from the show to hear from our sponsors at Prime Video. Prime Video is entertainment for you, every you, because women are more than just one thing. There's the you that can light up a stage like Miss Maisel, but there's also the you that just wants a lazy brunch with your girls in Harlem. Prime Video is for the teenager falling in love you who turned pretty one summer, and the 30-something who knew she had it going on all along. For the dreamer who gets lost in the wheel of time, and the fan who dreams of playing in the WNBA, the strong you who can best the boys like Starlight, and the not so strong you who can't get through an episode of Swarm without covering your eyes. We're for the messy, the marvelous, and the everything in between. World-changing, nap-taking, role-breaking you just as you are. Prime Video is entertainment for you, every you. Restrictions apply. See Amazon.com/Amazon Prime for details.
Yeah, I just think that you really do meet your person when you're least expecting it. Like, I mean, I don't want to tell your story for you, but I feel like you had completely just like let go and like surrendered, you know, like you weren't looking for anybody, you weren't talking to anybody, and then that's when you met Pan. And same thing kind of happened to me, because I was...
Sorry to cut you off before you keep going, but you know how you just said same thing happened to you? I had always told you, and I never took my own advice, but I had always told you, I was like, once you like fully cut off like all the, I guess you can say, all the people that weren't like meaning well, I guess, in your life, I was like, you're gonna find the person after you do that. And then once you finally cut those people off, like actually fully cut those people off, was when you met Mac. And like the same thing with me, like when I actually cut all those people off and I was like not talking to a soul, was when I just like not even found Peyton, because I like we knew about each other beforehand, but that's when we like reconnected, and it all just like happened in a blink of an eye.
The same thing happened to me, because Mac and I like knew each other because we have mutual friends, but we never like met in real life until the first time we met, which like happened so randomly. Like I was just not talking to anybody, like completely alone, and then he messaged me one night when we were out to dinner with Graydon to go like meet up at this bar and get a drink, and I was like, guys, we should just go. And then we went, and then that night was the night where him and I were just like talking for hours, and it felt like I had known him like my whole life. Like it's so weird also when you meet somebody. I feel like for me, like I read people's energy and I pick up on like the way that they make me feel when I'm around them, and I feel like I either know if I'm gonna have a connection with this person or I don't. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And like when I met Mac, it was so weird because I had obviously like met other people in the past 26 years of my life, and I just feel like the night that I met him, like I had this such like a strong connection and like pull towards him. So that's how I knew that I wanted to like pursue the relationship with him. And I feel like also when you're in the position of meeting somebody and like going on dates and you're like texting, and it's kind of like that awkward in between stage where you like just met but you're not dating yet, like officially boyfriend girlfriend. I feel like a lot of people can kind of go crazy in that period of time because I feel like there's a lot of game playing. And that's something that I've talked to you about a lot, Emma, growing up. And just like out of my experience, I feel like if you're in the position where you meet somebody and you are hanging out and you're going out to dinner and going on dates, but you're not officially boyfriend and girlfriend, and you always are wondering, like, should I text them? Or like you're sitting around for waiting for them to text you. I think that there's nothing wrong with like taking initiative and being confident and like texting them first and not just like playing those games, like waiting for them to text you. I think that that's such a waste of time and it causes so much stress. Like, who cares who texts who first? Like, you know how you would feel when that person is reaching out to you and letting you know that they're thinking about you and they want to see you. So like, do the same to them. Let them know that you're interested. Don't just wait for them to come to you. Because I remember in the beginning when Mac and I first started talking, he would like text me and like call me all the time. And then like I would do the same with him. Like I would text him a lot, like showed him that I was interested, and we like made plans.
Yeah, that
and
was
stuff.
like Peyton and I. There was no like grace period or anything between there, and there was no game playing. It was like from the day we met each other and forward, it felt so normal. And you just like, you'll like text, call, hang out, and it was like no big deal, you know? Like
Yeah.
It wasn't like you would like think about it. I wouldn't think about like before I would text him. Like it was just like, it's so, I don't know, I just feel like the game playing never leads you anywhere good in any relationship. Like the game playing is so forced. That's like very forceful, and then that kind of puts that type of energy into your relationship anyway. So then when you're actually in that relationship that started out from game playing, it's games your whole relationship. It's, I'm gonna go out and not text him while I'm out to see if he cares, and like, you know, and it just is like, that's so not healthy.
I completely
and that's
agree.
so toxic, I feel like. But when you start a relationship so healthy, it's like the relationship continues to be healthy, where now like with Peyton and I, like it started off us being like very open and texting and doing everything together, and now it's still like that. It's still like very open and we do everything and, you know, all that type of stuff.
Yeah, I feel like communication is key.
Communication for sure.
Even my relationship that I'm in now, I feel like Mac has really even taught me so much about communicating, because he is the type of person where he, like, if I get upset about certain things, or if there's something that upsets me, like, I feel like in the past I normally would have just like got real quiet, you know, and kind of like sat there and not said anything, because not that I shut down when something upsets me, but I feel like I just get more reserved. And I feel like he's definitely taught me a lot about just like confronting the problems right then and there. Because if you're feeling some sort of way, I feel like it's very important to say how you're feeling and get it over with, rather than sit there and have those thoughts in your mind. Because then I feel like you create all of these false scenarios in your head and like things that aren't even really true, you know? Like your thoughts start like going crazy.
I agree. My next thing is like the timeline. Okay, so I feel like people always wonder like when is it the right time to kind of like make a relationship exclusive, and I don't think there's really like a timeline. I mean, obviously when you're young and you're like little and you're like 13 years old, like maybe there's a timeline, but like, and like, I don't know, like at the age that you and I are both at now, there's no timeline for anything, in my opinion, actually. Because when you meet someone, if you like them and you like each other and like it's been a couple weeks and like it's been going pretty well, like, you know, like you can make it fully exclusive, like boyfriend or girlfriend and whatnot. I mean, I think we talked about this in the last 2 episodes, the part 1 and 2 of the engagement episodes, but how people were like, whoa, it's too soon that you got engaged, like stuff like that. Like there wasn't really a time frame for Peyton and I, because we both like knew, so we were like, there's no point in like waiting it out, you know?
Exactly. And plus, like, just because you have a ring on your finger and you guys have the title of being engaged, that just means like you guys are committed to each other forever.
It's just committed, you know, to each other forever, and which is like what we want to do. It's like, it's not that deep. It is deep, but it's not like that deep, you know?
Yeah. And I think also for me, like my relationship, we moved fast too. Like, I just feel like I don't really talk that much about my relationship, but also like when we met, we were like inseparable since we met. And then my old apartment that I used to live in, Mac would always come over. Like, he had his own apartment at the time.
He basically lived there, though.
Exactly.
He was there this is right when I moved to LA. Like, when I moved to LA, we'd always joke about, like, haha, Mac, like, you can take Emma's closet. Like, Emma's not here anymore. Because you guys hung out. That was the same with Peyton and I, too. Like, you guys hung out every single day. And, like, Peyton and I, like, hung out every single day, too.
Yeah, and it got to the point where, like, he had friends that he lived with at his other apartment, but we were just always spending time at mine. So and then we decided, like, we should just move in together and get our own place. And that's how it worked. I feel like even though some people say, like, oh, you should wait a really long time before, like, moving in with somebody, I feel like, yeah, there's no timeline. So you really just have to feel things out and do what's best for you and what's best for your relationship. Because I also believe that it's important to live with somebody before you make the decision to get engaged and get married. I think that it's so important.
Sure.
I know some people don't believe in that, which is fine. But for me, at least, like, I need to know, like, how we're gonna kind of, like, exist under the same roof, you know?
Yeah.
So
That's, like, with Peyton and I, like, honestly, like, 2 months into, a month into our relationship was when we brought up, like, wanting to live together, because we were with each other. From the day we met, we hung out every single day, nonstop, like, literally every single day, and we switched on and off, like, whose apartment we were going to sleep at. And then 2 months in, that's when we brought up, like, moving in, and we got back from a trip together, and the day we got back was the day that, like, me, him, and his friend Chase went over to my apartment and packed up all my stuff and brought it here. And then I literally just moved in and kind of just, like, did it on a whim. And obviously, like, we lived together every single day, so that made us, like,
I feel like it makes you so much closer too, so much faster.
So
because
much
you're not
closer
going
when you
like
live with someone.
seeing someone once a week, going on a date, seeing them for like 2-3 hours, and then going home or either like having a sleepover with them. It's not the same.
It's not the same. You you play house together before you get engaged. Like, you actually play house. You're, like, cooking dinner together. You go to bed together. You wake up together. You, like, do each other's, like, I do both of our laundry together. Like, it's like you do everything together, and it's, like, feels like you're playing, like, family. You know how you'd play that game when you were little and you'd, like, pretend like you had a family? Like, we're, like, literally playing house.
And it, like, shows you, like, what it's going to be like. And I think relationships also, when you spend so much time with somebody, they progress very fast, which isn't a bad thing. You know,
it's not a bad thing at all. Obviously I'm a what is it called, I'm like a
hopeless romantic.
No, I'm not. I am, but I'm saying, like, you were saying that your relationship progresses fast when you move in together. I was gonna say I'm like a what's the word, I'm like a not a project of that, I'm like a product of that. I'm a product.
You're a project.
I'm not a project. But anyway, yeah, so
do you guys have any like little routines or like things that you like to do
of course
in your relationship that you like to like prioritize in order to, I feel like, make your relationship like flourish?
Some things that we prioritize and do to make our relationship flourish and be as healthy as it can be. One is, we mentioned this a little bit in the peak and pit, but quality time. And whether that's, like, some days if we're, like, not leaving. So normally during season, like his basketball season, are days where, like, he has an off day. We, like, fully have a day of chilling where we, like, order food for every meal and we sit on the couch and we watch movies and we just, like, chill. That's, like, one of our favorite things to do. But we always make sure we have, like, time for each other, whether that's going out to dinner, going away for a weekend. Like, lately this summer, we've been traveling a ton ever since June 1st. We've been traveling, and we've been with a ton of people throughout all those travels. Like, some trips that we've been on, we've been with, like, 5 other people, or more than that. So we always tried to make time for just him and I after those. Like if we were in Florida for a month and we had a full weekend to ourselves in Naples, and then we had a couple days after when we were in 30A that we stayed even longer just to like do that with each other. And we just went to the Cape for the weekend for my birthday, obviously with other people, but the night after, like last night, we went out to dinner, him and I. We went on a little date to this little place in Boston, and like we just like, I don't know, chilled one-on-one. Like we always make sure we have our like one-on-one time, and because that's like special for us. And then another thing that, like, I know every little detail about him, like every little thing, like anything from his past, whether that's even like past relationships, past like how he grew up, obviously, and like he knows every little detail about me. Like we have told each other every single thing, and I feel like that is another thing that's like super healthy for us, because we aren't hiding a single thing from each other. And like say something comes up with friends where like a conversation comes up about something, I'm not like it's a surprise to me, like I know it happened, you know?
Yeah.
Because like I feel like sometimes when things like that happen, like you hear something and you're like, what the heck, like I didn't know about that, and it kind of is like a little bit weird. But we're very open.
Yeah, and as much as people say like there's no need to talk about the past when you're in a relationship, like move forward and just focus on that, it's like it is good to be open about the past, because like you said, you don't want to be like sitting there in a group of people and something gets brought up, or I don't know, have like any surprises, or
yes, or like have like, I don't know, like other people say, like in the day and age that you and I, like not day and age, but like in, I guess, yeah, our day and age, and like the area that you and I are in, where our life is online, we have opinions from so many people that are coming into our DMs or like comments on everything, where they could be saying things, making things up and whatnot, trying to be like, they could try to tell, like, not like tell secrets, but like try to make things up basically to like make us like our relationships crumble. But if you know everything about your partner, then like that doesn't work, you know?
you guys have your pizza night.
We try to make dinner every night. If not, we'll go out to dinner, obviously. But we have like little things that we do, like pizza night, and we love to have our mornings together. We have coffee with each other every morning, but we make coffee at home. So we also have like a little bit of time in bed when we were just like laying there like, good morning, blah, blah, blah. But this morning, for example, I was so sleepy, and he's been getting up every day at like 6 something for workouts. So he gets up a lot earlier than me, and I was like, could not get up with him this morning, because I did yesterday, and I remember being so tired from getting up with him. So I like laid in bed for like at least 10 more minutes, and then I came down and he was like already making coffee for me, and I was like sitting on the stairs like next to because our little coffee bar is right next to the staircase. So I was like sitting on the stairs waiting for him to make my coffee, and then he was like done making my coffee, and I like got to like have a couple seconds with him before he left for his morning workout and stuff. But little things like that we do together is like nice. And
Yeah.
we always have downtime during a day where we sit down and we like either watch a show, like he'll watch a show and I'll continue doing what I do, or make the bed together, or like when we cook, I cook, he cleans, and he helps me cook sometimes. So my biggest thing on like a healthy relationship, plus him and I are in a different point because obviously we're engaged, but our biggest thing together is being like a team rather than being like our separate selves. Mm-hmm. Like him and I, we work as a team. We do everything as a team. Like it's like us two. It's not him, it's not me, it's us, you know?
Yeah, I love that. I feel like that sets up like a good foundation for your relationship, because it's like you guys against the world, not like you guys separately.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like also like the stuff that we like to do in, well, my relationship, I feel like we like to do like similar things than you guys. Like although I like think that it still is important to have like a date night where you get dressed up and you go out to dinner, like to a restaurant, I also think that it's equally as important to be doing activities together that like also don't involve spending money and like going, you know, like going out.
Oh, for sure.
And doing stuff like that because, but also activities that aren't just like things that you do in your daily routine. Like as you can still like do the things like we have coffee together every morning and we like to eat breakfast and dinner together. Obviously, like those things are normal, but some things that we like to do that have to do with like spending quality time together is like we like to go for walks at night, like after dinner when the sun is setting. Like if it's too hot, we won't bring the dogs, but if it's not, then we will go for like a really long walk for like a couple miles with the dogs at night. And like we don't go on our phone, and that's just like our time to just like walk together for like an hour and just like talk and enjoy each other's company. And then we come home and then we lay in bed, obviously, before we go to sleep, and he likes to watch his TV show or like whatever sports game is on that he wants to watch, and then I like to like read my book.
Also, I feel like you guys always drive around.
Oh yeah, we do that sometimes. Like sometimes we...
You guys do that? You guys drive around? Like after you get coffee, you guys will play music and you guys will drive by the water.
Yeah, we like to like go for a drive. I used to love doing that in college too. Like whenever I would get a coffee with my roommate, we would like go and drive around after, and you just like drink your coffee and we'd go drive by the water. And
yeah. One of my favorite things is like, I mean, you've told me this before about you and Mac, but since you and Mac live where Mac grew up, because Mac grew up in the city of Boston.
Yeah.
Born and raised. So like when you guys drive around, like he'll show you like, this is my like grandma's house. This is where I used to like get subs during like, I'd order subs from here like when I was at school. Like he shows you little things like that, where like when I go to Portland with Peyton, like we will drive through his town and he's like, this is I think it's called Safeway maybe. It's like a grocery store or something. I have no idea what it is. It's like a big grocery store, basically like a Stop and Shop here. And he used to play like, they would all like meet up in that parking lot like and hang out with friends, and like he shows me all those little things, and I love that type of stuff. Or like when we're on Cape, would drive when he's been there for like the first couple times, or even if we see something new, I show him like, this is my high school, this is where we used to like sit in the parking lot at the beach, like Ella and I sat in a tornado here. Like little things like that I feel like are so special to learn about your person's past life too, and their like how they grew up and stuff.
Yeah, I know. It's so fun because I feel like, especially where we live in Boston, like it's changed so much since he was younger. And so there are places now that are like the popular places that everybody goes to, and he's like, oh, but when I was younger, like this used to be something different and it isn't what it is now. So yeah, it is really cool, and also really special to like be able to see like where person is from, you know, and like learn about like their life before.
People may ask sometimes like how much time together is too much time, but I don't think that there's like a limit, or I don't think that there's a limit with like how much time is too much time. There is like, distance does make the heart grow fonder, and like when Peyton's on the road for work, or when he has to like go away for basketball stuff, like, and I don't see him for 3 days or something like that, I definitely do like feel like after I'm so excited to see him, but during those 3 days we literally sit on FaceTime with each other every second that we have available. But I really don't think that like there's too much time at all when it's your person. And also I feel like the more time you spend, the more you figure out like if they're your person or not, you know?
Yeah, I agree. Because like for us, we spend so much time together, like literally so much time together. And sometimes I feel like Mac is like, oh, do you want to like go, no, like I don't know how to word this, but he'll just say like, oh, do you want to
go hang out with Emma because you don't see her?
Yes.
Like he always says that to you. He's like, do you want to go hang out with her? You're like,
he's like, do you,
yeah,
you
I mean,
and Emma,
we can.
He will always say that and be like, do you guys want to like go have like a sister day?
Like we'll have our workouts, but we don't like, we'll have days where I'm like, I do want a day where we can go to like Williams Sonoma and like all those little places because I have to get stuff for the new house. But like that's like we're also busy. But anyway, sorry, that's like...
And we will do that. But also you and I feel like we had our time where it was Maggie and Emma time every day.
we lived together. We had our days.
We had our days.
We had what we have now. It's not like I'm sick of you, but...
I know. And it is nice to like go through different seasons of life. And I feel like right now we're just in the season of like enjoying our relationships and spending quality time.
We're lucky to hang out with our people together. Like we've been doing a ton of trips where it's like me, you, Mac, Peyton. Like we've all been going places together. We all went to the Cape together. We're going to be going to Portland together. Like we've been doing a ton together.
Yeah, like Mac and Peyton get along so well, and Mac gets along really well with Peyton's friends, and we all do stuff together. And I feel like that's what you and I have always wanted, is like, I want to say boyfriends, but like he's your fiance, so instead of saying like my boyfriend, your fiance, I'm just gonna say partner, like where our partners are like get along and like we hang out with them, you know, like all of us together.
There's a question that says, how do I get my partner to make more time for me? And let me just say one thing, if he wanted to, he would. I've been there where they didn't want to, and I've also been there now where they want to, and it's like, it seriously is so true, as much as you don't want to hear it, but like if they wanted to make time for you and hang out with you, like they 100% would. And if they don't make time for you, like they're not your person, because why the heck would they not want to hang out with you?
But before you like jump to conclusions, I definitely would have a conversation with them about it and say like, hey, blah 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 blah, like this is what's bothering me. I think that is a healthy thing to do, like have a conversation about what's bothering you and just tell them like you want to spend more time together. And then if they make an effort and they change, that's great, you're moving in the right direction. But then you will know after you have that conversation, like where the relationship stands.
If they want to make an effort and change, they will.
Exactly. To end off this relationship episode and kind of like end off this topic and round everything up, I think it's important to talk about, if you have been single for a while and you are looking to meet somebody, how is the best way to meet them?
The best way to meet them if you've been single?
Yeah, I think honestly, the best way to meet somebody if you have been single for a while, or if you're just looking to kind of like settle down and get into a relationship, I think saying yes to everything, being a yes man.
Yeah, you got to be a yes man. I think you got to be a yes man. And even if you, like for me at least, back in the day, like way back in the day when I was single, I would say yes to anything, like whether it's going out with my friends, going to any date, literally, like I don't know, like just saying yes to anything. Like when I first, this may be a little bit too TMI, but when Peyton and I first kind of met, which this was like a couple of years ago, where he commented on like my picture on Instagram and whatnot, and he was like, oh, like let's go get drinks soon, or like something like that. He was like, let's hang out soon or whatever. And I was like, yeah. And like nothing came out of it, right? And then this time around, when like we like actually started dating and stuff, for the first time when we went on our first date, he was like, hey, like let's go get drinks. And I was like, okay, sure. Like you have to go into it with like, you got nothing to lose. So you kind of just got to say yes to anything. And it's good to try things out and like experience different dates and different people, and because if you don't experience all different types of people, you're never going to know who's going to be the one, because your person who's the one could be completely opposite from what you thought your type was, you know?
Yeah, and also remember when you were meeting up with Peyton for the first time, and your friend that was supposed to go with you to meet up with him and his friends, she couldn't go anymore.
Listen to this. Wait, I got to tell this one story really fast, and then you can say your part. But when I was going to meet up with Peyton for the first time, he was like, hey, by the way, like some of my friends are going to be there. So you're more than welcome to bring some girlfriends, because he had 2 friends there and like a couple more showed up later. And so I was like, okay, cool. Like, I'll ask my friend. Guys, mind you, all of my friends are in relationships. Every single one of my girlfriends is in a relationship. So I was the only one that had been single, right? So I asked my one friend at the time, this girl, if she wanted to go, and she was newly single, she was like a month single or whatever. And I was like, would you like to come with me to go get drinks, like whatever? And she was like, yeah, like, let's go. She said two things. Her first thing was like, I'll let you know, like she was gonna show up after. She was going out to dinner with like her friend and her friend's boyfriend, and she was like, I can like meet up with you after. And she was like, or why don't you cancel and like ask him to go Friday, because this was on a Thursday. And I was like, no, like I can't Friday, so like we'd have to do it Thursday anyway. So she was like, okay, like I'll just meet up with you. And she was like, but just letting you know, like I've heard this, that, the other, basically telling me, she was like, I don't know if you should go, because I don't know like if this would be right, like I've heard this, that, cool. And so then I like go and I meet Peyton, and obviously like we like literally fall in love. And I have that in the back of my head though, and I was like kind of scared, because I was like, wait, like what the heck, like maybe it's true, maybe it's not. I was like iffy, but I still just went because I was like, I really have nothing to lose. And like I didn't think that this guy was like a bad guy. Obviously he's not. And I like come to find out like what she had told me like wasn't the right story, obviously. So yeah.
And if you had listened and not when, you wouldn't be where you are.
I wouldn't have met my person.
So I feel like it just goes to show that you
have to listen to your gut.
Everyone's also always going to have something to say no matter what, whether you are someone like you and Peyton, where you guys are kind of like more in the public eye. Like there's going to be,
oh my God,
in a small city, there's
people
going to be
can say stuff about me all day long.
But also you can't like listen to these rumors, and you can't trust what you hear.
You just really have to listen to yourself, because me going into my first date with him, it felt so right, and I felt like I had to go. And even when my friend was like, let's go Friday, I was like, no, like I have to go today. Like I don't know what it was, but like I was like, I gotta go today. And I went into it, like walking into the date with him, I wasn't like nervous. Maybe that was because I had a glass of wine getting ready, but I wasn't like that nervous. But I feel like in past like times with people, when I met them, I feel like I always had to put on a different person, and every single time, like, and throughout that whole relationship, I was a different person. And sometimes some people
like
used to say to me, I would always try to impress them. And sometimes some people would say to me like, you can be yourself around me. And I'd be like, I am. Like, what are you talking about? But like, no, I wasn't. With Peyton, like, since the day I met him, I literally was myself. Like, I don't know what it was, but he made me feel so comfortable since the second I literally looked into his eyes. So, yeah.
And I even saw it too firsthand, and I agree. So moral of the story, say yes to everything, put yourself out there, even if you are going into a situation alone like Emma did. I feel like
you have nothing to lose.
You have nothing to lose. And same thing happened to me the night that Mac and I met. Like I showed up to the place to grab a drink after dinner, and you wanted to go home.
We all left.
And Graydon wanted to go home. And like, I could have been like, okay, well, my friends are leaving. Like, I'm going to leave too. But I stayed. And if I had not stayed.
And you never did that. And I was like, I knew. I was like, okay.
Yeah. So it just goes to show you really have to follow your heart, listen to your gut, and just trust.
Yeah.
So thank you guys all so much for tuning in. I hope that you guys enjoyed this episode, and be sure to subscribe and listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. And you can follow me on Instagram and YouTube, TikTok, all the social media platforms. It's just Maggie McDonald.
And mine's the same. Mine is just Emma McDonald.
And we love you guys, and we will see you next week. Love ya.
Bye. Love ya. Bye.